There is no doubt that Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. The CEO of SpaceX also seems to be on the rise as both of his companies are doing very well. Their stocks are very valuable, and it looks like things will only get better now that Musk is in charge of them. He has a lot of good ideas. Of course, Musk said something shocking about Tesla, his electric car company, and its stock. Nikola Tesla, almost anyone would be shocked by what Musk has said, and we will go over some of them today as he hints at a coming slump. What makes Musk think that there will be a recession? How much would the Tesla stock price change? Let's watch this video to find out. Elon Musk has been through very bad money problems in the past. In the 1990s, Musk started a business with his brother. When the dot-com bubble burst at the turn of the 21st century, it hurt everyone, but Musk was able to make it through it. In 2008, when he was CEO of both Tesla and SpaceX, there was another recession. Because of this, both businesses almost went out of business, but he was able to make it through the worst, to get to the point where he is now. Elon thinks that something similar is about to happen, and that it will happen in the next few months of 2022. There is another boom like the one in the 1990s, when a lot of people had businesses worth a lot of money. Elon Musk says that the fact that almost 1,000 businesses are worth more than $1 billion right now is a strange and unsustainable number. In 5 years, most of these businesses will no longer operate. People who know about the trimming that happens over time know that it will be quick, harsh, and painful. For some background, 2021 ended with more than 900 businesses worth more than $1 billion. That number was only 150 in 2019. It's a simple matter, how did that number grow so naturally, and how many of those businesses will make it through the upcoming purge? For Elon, the slowdown won't happen until at least 2023 or maybe even 2022. Prices for goods and services are going up faster than ever before, which is very scary. One of the main reasons for this is that the government spent too much and had to print money to get out of the slump in 2020. To hide its face, the government is now rushing to raise taxes. To keep the federal government running, the average American worker now has to pay about $22 an hour. What a crazy amount of money. In order to cut the federal government's spending, the Federal Reserve wants to raise interest rates and slow down quantitative easing. The Federal Reserve just recently told the press that interest rates will need to be raised to 0.9% in 2022. While 0.9% may not seem like a lot, it is a big jump from the average interest rate over the last 10 years. Fed has tried this before, so this is not the first time. Back in 2019, they tried to raise interest rates to 2.4%, but the market reacted badly and rates had to be lowered to 1.5%. And this happened before the flow got bad. 0% interest rates are already relied on a lot by the financial markets. The market would lose money if prices went up by even 0.9%. The goal of the Federal Reserve is to keep the U.S. economy going strong. It shouldn't be too hot or too cold. When the economy grows quickly, problems like inflation can get out of hand and threaten the security of the economy. When this happens, the Federal Reserve steps in and raises interest rates, which helps to slow down the economy and keep growth steady. They are then in charge of monetary policy for the U.S., which means they control how much money is in the economy. The Federal Reserve has many tools at its disposal to carry out its duties, but the most obvious and useful of these is its ability to change interest rates. This is the rate that the Federal Reserve talks about when it raises interest rates at its regular meetings. It is also called the Federal Funds Target Rate. A goal range is set by the Federal Open Market Committee for the federal funds rate. This rate is used as a standard for interest rates on overnight loans. A lot of big banks charge each other. To meet liquidity standards set by government agencies like the Fed, banks borrow money overnight. The effective federal funds rate is the average of the rates that banks agree to lend money for one day. This changes other market rates, like the prime rate and the secured overnight lending rate. Since these two things work together indirectly, the federal funds rate is the most important measure of interest rates in the U.S. economy. The whole world economy is affected by the change in interest rates, which brings up the big question. What will happen when the Federal Reserve raises rates? When does the Federal Reserve raise the federal funds rate? The goal is to make bank loans more expensive for everyone in the business. Because of this, loans cost more for both businesses and people. Interest rates go up, and everyone has to pay more for interest. This includes people who can't or won't make the bigger payments. Putting off jobs that need money at the same time makes people more likely to save money so they can get bigger interest payments. This cuts down on the money that is out there, which helps keep inflation low and the economy moving slowly. Elon Musk said that a slowdown could happen as early as spring 2022, which is when the Federal Reserve will stop buying bonds. It sounds terrible, but it could also mean an economic disaster, maybe even worse than a slump. A recession happens a lot because it's described as 2 quarters in a row of negative GDP growth. It's still a recession even if GDP drops by 0.5% for 2 quarters. But when the GDP drops by more than 10% in 1 year, that's called a slump. The Great Depression is one of the most well-known cases from this terrible time in history. The US GDP dropped by 30%. As with every other financial problem, the Great Depression came after a time of economic growth. People called it the Roaring Twenties. It was one of the busiest times for gambling in history in the 1920s, which led to the Great Depression. Given how much people speculate these days, pitches that don't have any value are being sold for tens of millions of dollars, and kids are becoming billionaires from their beds. People in the third world who play crypto games make a lot of money. I do not know what time it is if this is not the 1920s. Cathie Wood, whose views we talked about in previous videos and whom Elon Musk respects, has said that one of the other things that leads to a recession is rising store inventories. She thinks that stocks that are too full are a big reason why the economy is slowing down. As a result of struggling supply lines, retail stocks have dropped a lot from what they were before the pandemic. In answer, companies have ordered ridiculously large amounts of goods to meet customer demand. The issue is that they have gone over the claimed demand. A lot of stuff is just sitting there, going to waste. The amount of goods in stores has gone up by more than 2%, while imports have gone up by more than 4.7% and exports have gone down by 2%. Real spending and services, on the other hand, have stayed the same, while saving rates have dropped by about 6.9%. Wood thinks that stockpiles will grow at a rate of 24% per year, which will slow down the economy and lead to a recession in the long run. There are now 2 sides to this problem. There are people who think a recession is coming and people who think there is more fear than fire. The latter group is less concerned with the market. The head of social capital, Chownath Palihapitiya, has been shorting Netflix, Apple, and Amazon while buying Microsoft and Google. Cathie Wood has been selling short positions on well-known companies like General Motors because she thinks they will lose a lot if the stock market crashes. Ray Dalio, who runs the biggest hedge fund in the world, thinks that investing in Chinese stocks will give investors profits that will lower the risk of their portfolios. What could lawmakers have done to make things better? Not really. Plus, this isn't even Elon Musk. Lawrence Summers, who used to be Treasury Secretary, says that the White House is wrong about what is causing inflation to be so high. He says that saying that corporations are greedy for causing the coming recession has only made it more likely that a recession will be needed to stop prices from going up too fast. The issue has been horribly misdiagnosed. The government has been going after millionaires for their taxes, but the economy is already too hot and needs to cool down while the government tries to figure out its politics and hopes to find a solution. Elon Musk has kept on his path of coming up with new ideas. No one knows what he plans to do to help the economy get better. We think he'll be fine, though, since he lived through 2 of the worst economic downturns in recent history. So, do you believe what Musk says will happen? Leave a comment below.